I've seen the charts, pumped them all, had my Lambo dream. Bitcoin castles, now a shattered meme. Hot wallet nights, DeFi craze. When you and I chase those golden days, the memcoin pumps, Telegram fights, the way you'd ape with me through the nights. Will you still love me when I'm no longer a crypto millionaire? When my bags are dust and I'm broke beyond compare, I know you won't, I know you won't, my dear. When the market's red, you'll disappear. I've shilled the coins, built them up with my tweets now, chasing moonshots, ignoring all the doubt now. Hot staking days, blockchain dreams, the way you'd hold with me it seems. And all the gains, we got to know your diamond hands and crypto glow. Will you still love me when I'm no longer a crypto millionaire? When my bags are dust and I'm broke beyond compare, I know you won't, I know you won't, my dear. When the market's red, you'll disappear. Dear Satoshi, when I lose it all, please let me keep my dash. When the bear comes, tell me it won't crash. Vitalik, tell me if you can. All that code, all that chain, all that speed makes me feel no pain. It's my hedge, it makes me feel like diamonds. Will you still love me when I'm no longer a crypto millionaire? When my bags are dust and I'm broke beyond compare, I know you won't, I know you won't, my dear. When the market's red, you'll disappear. Will you still love me when I'm no longer a crypto millionaire? Will you still love me when I'm not rich beyond compare?
So, hey everyone, welcome. Just played a fun little intro thing while we're chatting. We were just sort of mentioning on the open source tools and everything with AI that basically lets one person, like a jack off like myself, to be able to actually pretend like I'm running a show. And otherwise I'd need like a whole production crew and things. And so now I can just be like, hey, AI, slap together some graphics and get a little title going, and then we get to do this. But that's kind of where we are. But hey, how's it going, man?
Good. It's good. Thanks for inviting me. Pleasure being on the space. Definitely nice being on this side of the coin, like I said, not having to manage it all myself for once. So really appreciate the invite. Really grateful for you, sir, for everything that you've done in this space, connecting all the like-minded folks. So pleasure and honor to be here. Thanks for having me, Joel.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. It's, I don't know, it's the crypto space used to be small, and when it was small, it was all the right people. Not really, but it seemed to be all the right people. And now the space is so big that you just see the big voices at the top, like the sailors of the world, and it kind of gets some people depressed. And I think if you just dig beneath the surface just a little bit, then you start to see that there's a coalition of really cool people that are doing good things. And I just want to find them all, and I want to get them all out there front and center and doing stuff. And also, I do need some structure in my chaotic life. So having a Friday show every 3 p.m. keeps my life kind of focused. And so What is it? This is the 230th episode. Well, let me actually just roll the intro and kind of do the whole thing. Ready? 3, 2, 1, intro. And we're officially live. Hey everyone, welcome to the Digital Cash Rundown, episode 230, which means I've been doing this for over 230 weeks in a row, if you don't count the breaks for when I'm on a conference. So since 2020, and so if you think that my subscribers are low because I haven't put the work in, you'd be sorely mistaken. I'm joined by the one and only Mattman. How's it going, man?
It's going. Again, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and honor to hang out with you in the crypto space, man.
Well, absolutely, and likewise. And I see a lot of people working hard in the space, and you're one of them. And I figured, hey, we should get some actual takes from this kind gentleman. And yeah, and as you mentioned, being on the other side of the screen for once, being like not just producing everything, just getting to sit there and talk,
Right.
is a nice change. And so, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
I
Yeah, so the big thing that we kind of queued up to talk about today, because stuff is happening, is MiCA, the crypto regulation in the EU, right? And not saying anything from like a crypto expert perspective, because I don't think it's hard to be a MiCA expert. There's so much stuff going on. But just to hit on the basic headline, the EU's MiCA transition period has ended, meaning unauthorized crypto firms can no longer legally serve EU clients. So the MiCA regulation was put in as like a broad-based European crypto regulation, and there was a grace period after it was implemented for everyone to get compliant, and that ran out on July 1st. And so now it's over, and now companies can't be compliant. I mean, they can't operate if they don't have a MiCA license if they need one. Custodians all need one, by the way.
There's no like being grandfathered in or anything like that. They had to like submit and get approved by a certain date, and now that date.
Yeah. And I don't want to get into too much detail of other people's private business, but I do have some dear friends in the Dash community who've been running a crypto company out of Denmark for many years, and they basically withdrew their MiCA application because it wasn't going to get approved at a certain state, and are just completely restructuring their like hobby/dream business they've been running on for so many years. So they kind of got. I've been in the thick of it with them as far as like, dealing with that. It's been sad to see. One asterisk of the unauthorized crypto firms can no longer legally serve EU clients. There is an exemption of sorts of reverse solicitation, where if a company outside of the EU, they can serve EU customers if they don't advertise to them, basically, if it's like accidental. So, for example, a Swiss company, because Switzerland is not in the EU, could have EU clients. They can't do business in the EU. Like they can't but if an EU-based user wants to use their service, they can, as long as they they're only advertising to Swiss people, and then a European shows up and they're like, all right, I guess you too. And if but it's a really sketchy loophole, because if you start to get like half your customers are Europeans, you might have to do stuff to discourage them from coming, because that's like too much. And so there's like it's an asterisk, but for practical purposes, you can't service EU customers. So that's kind of where that is.
They'll frown upon you severely. So I don't know a whole lot about this, so maybe my questions can suss out some value for the audience. Are we saying that like the current interpretation for, say, a company in America or Switzerland, as long as they're not directly advertising to EU customers, they're in the clear. The customers are fine. The company is fine. But there's probably going to be a point where, the law is challenged when a company's got way too many EU customers where they are dominating that market in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and also it depends on like operating in the EU. So like if you're operating in the EU, like you have an EU office, that's like no, you're in the EU. If you
Right.
are actively doing stuff, but if you're operating just across the border somewhere and are just focused on that, and there happen to casually be EU people strolling on in, there's like you're not going to get shut down. Basically, you don't have to like say, "Are you a European? If so, get out." You don't have to like screen them
Right.
like that, but basically you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to let them. And I do know, again, it's not public info, but I do know some companies that are using this reverse solicitation as sort of a like a loophole, but that's a dangerous game to play because you could end up getting like fined or sued or whatever, and you could end up having to completely like now you have to actively ban EU customers if you screw it up too much. So like just careful on that.
Yeah, these legislators, I mean, so many questions, but I'll just start with this. Like, what if I'm using a service like Vercel or Railway or Cloudflare or any kind of cloud hosting provider that is configured to replicate my services to provide a premium experience to online users, and all of a sudden, like my company's code is running on a server in the EU, and EU users are like accessing that. Like, is that accounted for? Have they even thought about that? I have to imagine no.
So it really depends. There are some things that there's several layers. MiCA is just the base framework. There's other frameworks on top of this too, but it MiCA governs things, and then there is a specific MiCA approval, or you need a MiCA license, as they call it. MiCA and the MiCA license are two different things. MiCA is just the regulation that says this is how you do things. MiCA license is a specific license you have to apply for and have it approved before you can do business as a few things, notably what's called a CASP, or a crypto asset service provider, which is just shorthand for a custodian. If you custody people's money, you money transmit, you process. You're not just a software shop. Then you need one of these licenses. And so if you're custodying people's funds, like an exchange, like a payment processor, if you don't have this license, you again reverse solicitation. If you're a Swiss exchange and someone comes in and sends euros to your exchange to buy stuff on the exchange, you may be able to do it as long as you're like not advertising to Europeans. And typically, if like half your customers are Europeans, it starts to become a problem. So yeah, that's kind of how the whole thing works.
This kind of makes sense now, because I heard Binance was one of the companies that withdrew their application. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. And let's flip on to these other slides, whatever, tweets. Only 210 out of 3,000 crypto firms cleared Europe's MiCA deadline. And so basically, basically, if you're unlicensed, you gotta kind of pull out. So Coinbase, Kraken, OKX, and Crypto.com are among the 210 firms listed by ESMA. So one of the things is Tether did not apply, or maybe they withdrew from the MiCA license, and Binance was not granted that. And so, as far as I'm aware, what happened is MiCA is Tether just was like, we're not even gonna try, dude. Like, we're never gonna pass this thing. And I think Binance did try, and it looks like they were not going to be. And this is something I learned recently, by the way, that if you apply for a license and get a formal rejection, that's really hard to overcome. There have been companies that get a draft rejection that basically says, just so you know, it's not going to work, and then they can withdraw their application at that point. And if they withdraw their application, they don't get a rejection on file, but they still can't do business until they fix it. So if you'd want to withdraw it, that means you're going to try to fix the problems and come back later. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, This sounds like the type of regulation that Binance is used to, especially. I mean, it reminds me of the gotcha that CZ got in trouble with, actively promoting VPNs to U.S. customers years ago. So that's probably what happened with Binance. If that's what you're saying, they got noticed that Greece was not going to approve them, so they withdrew.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Well, a
probably
couple fun.
we're used to this type of regulation. We'll figure it out.
The first thing, the VPN is a good example because um, that is an example of what would kill reverse solicitation. Is you say,
Right.
oh, we only support Swiss customers or U.S. customers, and so therefore, if it comes with the U.S. VPN, that's fine, or U.S. IP. But if you're saying you should use the VPN to get around, then that kills the whole thing. It's like, no, dude,
Yeah.
that's tricky.
Yeah. I don't remember the details of that, but that was what they got him on, right? Basically, they proved that Binance corporate was showing U.S. customers how to get around some of those geo barriers.
Yeah, and the thing with also with the application games, even though it is a Euro-wide framework, each regulatory body has their own kind of autonomy in doing it. So there's already some shopping around of like which is the one, where do you want to headquarter in the EU to get your MiCA license, which is the easiest jurisdiction, which it's kind of like a micro shopping around because it is still the same. You have to comply with the same basic framework, but
Hmm.
depending on which regulator, you could have a good one. I heard rumor now. In the last month, I've been to a few different conferences in Europe where people are on the MiCA registration panels, and I was like listening to all the experts talk about this stuff, and it is grim. First of all, someone said that the Italian regulators literally said we would rather not issue any MiCA license to anyone. They literally just said, which doesn't mean that they're going to fail every application, but it sounds like they literally say we'd like to fail everyone if we could. It's
Right.
just like, Jesus Christ, dude, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
pretty much everyone's getting sort of taken out by that on the whole. Um,
Dang. I mean, it reminds me of corporations shopping around states for the best regulator that they can grease here in America. Honestly,
mm-hmm.
I'm wondering though. So like EU's huge in crypto, and obviously like there's a lot of customers in the EU, but really what they're locking down are custodians and exchanges. Correct? Is there any kind of like freedom tech that skirts this in a legal way?
Yeah. So the thing is, MiCA. So MiCA has a lot of restrictions on it, and then you have like the AMLR, the anti-money laundering regulation on top, and a bunch of other things that all stack together. Most of what MiCA does is most of what people are worried about with MiCA is like custodians and stuff, or CASPs. CASPs are the ones that get affected the most by this. You can, and I mostly read the parts of the regulations that affect privacy, and I know that anonymous accounts, privacy, things like that, they're all banned under MiCA for CASPs. But they basically say if you're like a software provider, if you open source wallets, you can just do what you want, kind of. So
Oh
peer
yeah.
to peer is like legal as far as like anyone can write. Giant asterisk. Please do your own research on this stuff because there's a
Yeah.
lot of like nuance to it. But as far as I'm
Not legal
aware,
advice.
yes, as far as I'm aware, EU companies can produce open source software and get users, make a business out of that, and people can send and receive random tokens, and that's fine. Where things get tricky is, of course, like the exchange process, and also token issuing is super tricky. The other thing is like, but most of the stuff is affecting all this like thing is affecting all the CASPs, all the custodians. So a few things that custodians have to do. One, they're only legally allowed to deal in assets which have a specific regulatory white paper on file with the EU authorities. This is all crypto assets. So they don't, even Bitcoin cannot be supported by exchanges without a white paper on file, a MiCA white paper as they call it. And I forget which exchange, but one exchange did submit one on behalf of Bitcoin. Someone else did for Litecoin. All these, especially the centralized coins, like the shitcoin world, those teams have to submit their own paper on file, or an exchange has to do it on their behalf. It's so that's just to be included. And then to support assets, you have to be able to prove origin of funds, meaning if I deposit to an EU exchange, I have to be able to prove I'm the one who owns that address, which is also kind of under this thing called the travel rule. But I mean, it gets complicated there. But basically, if I could send from if I send from like a fully private like address or something, that's it disallowed, because it's like, well, how do you know it came from this person? And like, anyway, there's that. The AMLR on top of that does forbid custodians from accessing crypto with anonymity enhancing features, which is kind of like a blanket privacy coin ban. But there's been some exchanges that have said stuff about, well, no, I think that as long as we just ban the privacy features, we're like, our lawyers seem to think that we're fine. And so like, again, it gets really, yeah, it gets really like tricky. And also like, I know some, like for example, Kraken, which is operating in the EU, they disallow Litecoin's MWeb deposits. And as far as I know, any Dash that has been coin joined before, they just also reject those deposits now. Whereas like, I've been doing that with Coinbase for like a year in the US, and there's just never any issue, because again, that's not a US issue. So it is funny. Now I want to talk about this, the Tether thing in particular, because this does get into like because we do have some stablecoin talk coming up more explicitly, but like, this is kind of interesting what he was saying. He said, Paulo Ardonio, the Tether CEO guy, he says that the MiCA license rules are dangerous with stablecoins. He said rules could force issuers to park 60% of reserves in uninsured cash deposits at small European banks, unable to handle redemptions. He said, I think it's not a very well thought legislation, and they skipped MiCA to protect 400 million users. First of all, I'm going to just say that last bit is kind of nonsense, because Tether is always played very fast and loose with everything. And part of anyone who's been in the space a long time, I'm sure you've noticed as well, has noticed that like Tether not being backed by actual fiat reserves has been kind of like the branding of Tether. And the US Genius Act, which is, the stablecoin MiCA, as it were, just says that any regulated stablecoin issuer has to have 100% back, like cash or cash-like deposits, and they have to have like, I think, monthly audits or something like that, and which is kind of strict, but also kind of reasonable if you want to think about what that's supposed to be. And Tether just is not competing in U.S. markets now because of that. They created their own stablecoin, which is an admission that they can't do that with Tether, and so I think that the same thing. What was that?
I said, nor would they want to. I mean, ultimately, that would make them non-competitive everywhere Tether is used outside of America. So,
yeah, I mean, it would significantly increase the cost or dip into their profit for their model. They'd have to basically be a USDC, and USDC is already the best USDC. So, like, it would be tricky. But also, I would guess that they wouldn't want to use a USAT style thing in Europe either. It must be much more complicated than that. The uninsured cash deposits at small bank thing, I think, is just an excuse to not do this stuff. But also, it does sound like some European nonsense to like be like, oh, we must protect European financial institutions, so therefore, carve out our own little nonsense for this stuff. So. But yeah, like the fact that the biggest exchange and the biggest stablecoin, also the number top 2 crypto asset in the world, depending on if it flipped into Ethereum this week or not. It got really close. I think it might even have done it for like a few minutes or something earlier in the week. But like the biggest everything is illegal is kind of insane, but also kind of gangster for crypto, right?
Yeah, number 3 and number 4. Tether's 3, Binance is 4 right now.
Yeah. So like most of crypto is illegal is kind of to think about.
That's one way to take it away. I was reading through the chat over on X, and I definitely empathize with the sentiment in there. This was, crypto wasn't supposed to have to be regulated. It's just unfortunate situation. You need fiat rails to drive adoption and distribution today. It's just kind of the nature of the business. I was rereading something Kwai posted a while ago, and a lot of my memory just came back. We actually did so European businesses can list Kwai. I made me curious though, Joel, like how does an open decentralized project like Dash get their white paper submitted to the EU?
So, none of this, as far as I'm aware, none of this is like confidential type stuff. So it should be just like, free to open source this stuff. As far as I'm aware, you need to have a MiCA white paper on file, which means you need to write such a white paper, and you need to submit it to the regulatory authorities. And there might be some sort of you need a legal entity that is in the EU that submits it and is like maintained. So I think for a fully decentralized project that has no friends, assume you have no friends, let's start there, which is, friends are easier. But if you don't have no friends, you want an EU entity like the Kwai European Foundation or something. And then you'd want to submit, get your lawyer to look over the white paper and stuff, write and look it over, and then just submit it to be on file. And then exchanges can list it as long as it's all fine. That's kind of that thing. I do know a good EU lawyer that I can recommend if someone's looking for that. Probably what we're looking at from our angle is probably going to be having an exchange list us and submit it. And then the exchange has it on file, because then we don't have to create an EU. We don't have any. There are no EU. I mean, especially after the MiCA lips took out our Danish friends. Especially after that, we don't have any EU entities associated with the DAO. So having an EU exchange submit the white paper and get things going, I think would be fine. Now with us, and Kwai is going to have to deal with a similar, not nearly as bad because of reputation, but a similar trick, which is on the privacy thing, where I think that it's going to have to be that
Chi. It's a very good reason we have 2 tokens.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So Chi won't be able to be supported on exchanges, but that shouldn't be a problem. You just buy Kwai, you hit a button and move it to Chi if you want to do that. But that's kind of going to be the restriction due to AMLR and some other stuff. But that's sort of the playbook, right, for a decentralized thing. You could also do a Monero style and just don't give a crap and let DEXs do all the work for you. And again, that's where stuff like Thorchain comes in, right? Where anyone who has, I have Bitcoin, click, and now you got the thing you really want.
Yeah, I want to be clear. Kwai is MiCA compliant. Our white paper has been submitted to the best of my knowledge. I'm not sure exactly how it was submitted. I don't work for the foundation, but I can point people to the official announcement. I think it was August 12th, 2025. So a few months prior to the launch of SOAP, we got our MiCA compliance. And that was also, just kind of like setting us up for the Kraken listing. So if anybody's wondering if you can buy Kwai on Kraken in Europe, you absolutely should be able to.
Nice. Yeah. sort of semi-technical question on Kwai. As far as with the Chi, migrate, like swapping between Chi and Kwai, um, that's like a one-stop. That's like a one. You could do like a one-click thing, right? So if I have Chi and you only have a wallet that supports just Kwai, can I like scan that QR code and hit a button, and then the Chi gets swapped into Kwai and ends up at that address?
Yeah, kind of.
Hmm.
That's ultimately that would be a great user experience.
Of course.
Your Kwai wallet, the Chi, so two separate ledgers entirely. So
Hmm.
like
Of
your
course.
Kwai wallet supports a Kwai ledger and a Chi ledger. So the same seed phrase can derive both addresses. Because there are two ledgers and one Kwai is account based, EVM compatible, fully programmable.
Hmm.
Chi is actually UTXOs, right? So to get Kwai for Chi and Chi for Kwai, you're actually doing like a cross, what we call an external transaction, or like a cross ledger transaction to swap one for the other. So if you want to get your hands on Chi, I highly recommend you mine it. That'll be Virgin Chi, super private. And then as long as you never swap it into Kwai, uh, you can use that with all the privacy that comes with Chi. For users who want to take their Kwai and get Chi, there's a button in the wallets where you can convert between the two.
Hmm.
The, I guess, hurdle there that most people might run into is due to the market incentive design that went into Chi in order to achieve its stable purchasing power over time. There is a delay in that conversion, basically
Hmm.
locks your funds for a 2 week period right now. We're looking to lower that in the future, but that's really to prevent supply and demand shocks to the conversion rate baked into the protocol so we can have that stable purchasing power in Chi over time. So, to quickly answer your question, you get Kwai, you convert it in your wallet. 2 weeks later, you'll have Chi. But
Hmm.
there are a lot of enhancements coming to that. And wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
We might be looking at helping some folks stand up an OTC market. We got a lot of miners mining Chi right now, so that's cool. But yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that answer your question.
Yeah. I guess that makes things not as complicated, um, because well, from the regulatory perspective, right? Because what
Bingo.
you wouldn't want do well, what could cause issues for some users is swapping from Chi to Kwai in a deposit on exchange immediately, like in one transaction. And then people are like, well, where did this come from? It's like, well, it came from the internal swap function, the bridging function. You're like, well, do you control that address? Like, no. Well, then, but as long
Yeah.
as you swap, you turn it to Kwai, and then Kwai goes on the exchange, and you're like, where did it come from? It's like, this is my address. Okay, it's all fine.
Do they do that with Zcash? Is anybody like threaten that with Zcash today? Because it's kind of the same thing, right? Like you're going from one
Yes.
to another.
So this is actually funny because the AMLR, it kind of seems to ban all privacy coins. It depends on how you frame it, but
Right.
um, MiCA itself, and I've read this regulation myself many times, too many times, because
I'm sorry.
nobody have time for that typically. But
Wait,
you
wait. Did
need to
you
be
read
able.
it, or did you have AI read it for you?
No, I did actually read it. I had AI summarize it and then cite, and then I looked at the citation and looked at the
Oh
actual
yeah.
text of it. I didn't do page one preamble. No one's doing that. I'm not that crazy, but I did read the actual part of the law that says this stuff on that and the AMLR because I want to be accurate. And AI
Yeah.
was still hallucinating when this stuff came out. So
Oh dang.
yeah, so but basically it says that you have to be able to prove origin of the funds, and you have to be able to, so you have to know where it came from, and you have to be able to prove that you own the address. And if you have a completely anonymous whatever, if you send to an exchange and you're not able to identify to their satisfaction, they can't automatically refund you because they don't know where to send it to. They're just like, we just
Right.
have this like hot potato now. It's like crazy. And so, in order to remain compliant with MiCA, This is before the AMLR that comes into effect middle of next year about that might ban all privacy coins. But there's a lot of weirdness around it. Before that, that's why Zcash and Firo, I believe, made something called an exchange-only address, which is a transparent address that can only receive from other transparent addresses. So then an exchange has that, so now the only way to deposit from an exchange would be to move to a transparent address, and then there you go.
Compliant blocks are coming.
Yeah. It's like honestly just not that it's not that big of a deal to add, but to have to add it is just annoying as hell. So I wouldn't say the EU is the most restrictive crypto thing in the world, but it's, as far as like a large jurisdiction, it is. Like I know, for example, in Russia, you are not supposed to pay with crypto. It's not legal to use as money, but you can buy and sell it on exchanges and stuff. But to use it as a money, I don't think it's legal. But it changes all the time. China's very locked down on that. There's a few other. I know the UAE, despite being super pro crypto friendly from a money and tax purpose, I don't think they let you spend like non-stable coins for goods and services, and they ban privacy coins. So there's just all this stuff, but the EU for a major regulatory system is like definitely like the worst, like by far. And you saw my post, my MiCA apocalypse or Amicalypse. I'm just gonna throw that on the screen so people could see that one. It's not a lot of beat to it, but has this fun graphic of a EU wave just destroying all of Europe, which I enjoyed having made.
I love the title though, MiCA Apocalypse or MiCalypse.
Yeah, Amicalypse.
Coin that. That's a win. So okay, you were talking about these these exchange accounts or these completely transparent accounts that only interact with other completely transparent accounts. And you mentioned how like if I want to deposit to an exchange, I have to prove where those funds originated from. Is that correct?
Yes.
So every time I deposit to an exchange, I'm like basically KYCing that address.
Yes.
But then I also have to like type into a form like where these funds came from and be able to prove that somehow.
That's a little bit of a different thing. I mean, there's different layers of like where like for tax purposes. Like, I'm sure if there's like they flag a laundering risk or something, then they want to know.
That was kind of my question. Is this like reported at the exchange, do you think, or do you think this is going to be like a tax task for the individual at the end of the day?
I think it's going to be kind of both, but mostly a tax task for the individual, but also the exchanges are going to monitor for suspected laundering things, and whatever that even means. And if they think you've been laundering, they might ask more information. But basically, as far as just the bare minimum to use an exchange, you have to obviously KYC with the exchange, and then you designate one address where you say, I own this address, this is where money is going to be coming from. And I think you have to like prove ownership of that address. And part of that is like you sign a transaction. Like remember back when you could sign Bitcoin transactions? I mean, you could still do that, I guess, but you sign a little thing with the address saying I full name own this address, and you send that to the exchange and be like, this is cryptographically proven to be my address. Now there was some protocol that would let you auto like one click sign that in your wallet, that some freedom people, including Edge Wallet, were looking into implementing to make this easier for users. And they got a massive backlash from the community because, like, am I building in compliance features, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I get it, but like...
No, it's absolutely hilarious because if your wallet... I mean, I've been doing this in the Ethereum space for years. It's how you log into websites without an email address. Right? So I guess in the land of no dApps, like it can be a little scary, but you know, you're just proving you own the public key is all you're doing.
Yeah, and the signing thing would make you not just prove you own, but prove you KYC'd own it, kind of thing, like your meat space identity. And so that's where people got a little weird, but it's also like you have to do this to use these exchanges. So make a tool to it. It's just like there are some crypto wallets, like for example, DashPay is one of these that has a CSV export function for transactions, as well as an integration into Zen Ledger to just calculate the tax, profit, and loss on your stuff and automatically. Just make it easy, right? Now,
No.
there's some schools of thought on it. Some people hate the fact that you make it easy to comply with government bullshit, but also it's kind of the government's fault for having the bullshit, and you don't need to use it if you don't want to. So I'm not bent out of shape about that, but some people are.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we were talking about it earlier today, but that's how we're going to escape is by creating just as good, if not better, utility than what people have today. So
Yeah,
it's the world we
it
live in right
definitely
now.
like the long term is very different from today, where today we have to worry about how to get in and out of fiat. We have to worry about how to get in and out of stable coins or have stable coins on our own networks. Again, depending on the network. Did you squish her? Squish the kitty? Sorry, just usually.
Oh, dear. I thought you could hear her, so I was.
No, I couldn't hear, but that's fine.
Oh, my bad.
Typically, this is I did close. I'm trying to keep the AC all in the room. It's a nice 69 here because it's like about 100 outside, right? Which is kind of hot for New Hampshire. It's pretty hot, but it's I'm trying to keep all the AC in. Otherwise, there would be a cat like every 10 minutes, a different one coming in to say hi, and they can't stand that I'm working alone and not giving them attention. So
Yeah.
I
This one won't give up. She'll tear the door down. So apologies for the disruption.
But yeah, I mean that's it. Like you have to figure out how to fit into the world right now. But also, I mean, so which by for reference, which year did you start getting into crypto in general? Like how long in the crypto tooth are you?
Oh, good question. So definitely heard about Bitcoin early days, like maybe 2009, 2010.
Damn, that's early.
And I didn't say like get into it, but I definitely looked into it deeply. I wasn't sold because I was more concerned with the middlemen in our economy. In my opinion, at
Mm,
that time, like they were the real leech on the economy, just like extracting value for
yeah.
no reason at all whatsoever. So I think, and then I ended up in the military. And then shortly after I got out of the military, I heard about Ethereum in the early days. And that's what really got me excited. So this was either late 2015 or early 2016
Mm-hmm.
when I took another hard look at crypto. And smart contracts are what really got me involved because I was focused on like more trustless, less middlemen, better peer-to-peer like mechanics for a global economy, right? And so that's when I like really dove in. I actually did some Doge mining in the early days because I saw number go up happening, and I wanted to like try my hand at that. Um, but what I wanted to do was build. I've always wanted to build things. I always like really enjoy building things. So I probably wasn't capable of building anything myself until 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was running a VPN company. I had my
Nice.
own little startup. I was taking advantage of some brand new technology called WireGuard, and I was trying to
Remember that?
build. Yeah, I was trying to build a public good. Like I truly believed, privacy and the right to not be monitored was and VPNs. I looked at them as like your seatbelt for the digital highway, if you will. Everybody deserves one. Everybody needs one. Everybody should be able to afford one. Um, and at that time, privacy was really hot, really hot. I
Mm.
just moved to Austin. And through my veteran network, I got involved in an incubator. and had too many conversations with too many VCs. And so I kind of got led down a for-profit path. But at the end of the day, they didn't want to help me build what I really wanted to build. So um, took a look at DAOs and got
Of
really
course.
excited about crypto again. And that's when I really started building in crypto. Was probably 2019, and got sucked into all the solar punks and OG cypherpunks in the Ethereum space, and I was off to the races. So to make this longer story short, at the end of the day, I realized none of these chains are truly censorship resistant, and nobody's really interested in working on something that's not a 100x number go up play. And the rest of the now tiny community of cypherpunks at that point were starving, and so they were looking for things to do that could feed their faces. And I, a little over 2 years ago now, went to the Consensus Convention in Austin with kind of like a manifesto. I spent the last bit of my funds on a bunch of cardboard flyers and then just kind of flyer dropped the conference. Ran into Dr. K at Quiet Network, and I was like, "This is real cypherpunk technology. It's solving that stablecoin problem, right?
Yeah.
Like even in DeFi, like everybody needs a unit of account that they trust."
Of course.
And so, seeing a potential real solution to that got me super interested, and I've been in the trenches with the Quiet team ever since.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that was my first consensus as well. Was the one in Austin, this most recent one, and I mean, I've obviously running around with the Dash team. Do you remember the acronym foundation that had the whole Venice Beach, like with a pull-up bar and stuff going on there? Um, I don't know if you remember that
No,
one.
no, I don't remember that one. Veronica has some stories about that, though. Supposedly she killed everybody on that pull-up bar.
Oh, that was her. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. So, Dash co-sponsored that booth that had the pull-up
Oh, hell
bar.
yeah.
So I was there. I just remember because I was, we were all working. Zcash, by the way, was there as well. Um,
Nice.
and so, I remember, uh, you know, the bunch of people doing the pull-up bar, and I remember a girl was the one who did better than at least almost everyone. I thought it was at one point she was like the top better than everyone. So, yeah, I didn't realize that's a quiet
Yeah,
person.
that was Veronica from Quiet Network. Kind of, it reminds me of what this rock climber told me once. He's like, you can be super strong or you can be super skinny. Either way, you're
Hmm.
winning.
Yeah,
No,
for
I
sure.
flyer dropped it. I was super low in funds at the time, so I actually got into that conference through the hackathon, applying for a builder pass,
Hmm.
and I just skipped the entire hackathon and spent most of the time like running through the back meeting rooms, dropping flyers, and then trying to bump into people and see what they have to say about my thoughts. About what are we doing about the original mission and vision of crypto, and how are we going to re-incentivize more work towards this vision. And
Yeah, I've been first of all, it is crazy to think. It is really crazy to think about it. That it's like OG heritage, right? So, for example, when I run into Dash people, like I
right,
ran into some guy came to some conference that I was at, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been in the Dash community. I've been using Dash as my daily money." I was like, "You're not gonna be longer than me because I'm like since 2017." He's like, "Since 2014." I'm like, "Jesus!" Like, wow,
right,
that's like OG, and you run into people. Oh yeah, I was like a good friend of mine who also lives on Dash. He had his he was like, "Yeah, I started like getting fully on into Bitcoin in 2011 and stuff. There's like a lot of those like super OG people, and Quai is one of those things that's surprisingly, it's sort of a new project in terms of like, launching a bunch of stuff. But then obviously Dr. K's been in there forever. You've been around forever. And then just like Veronica doing the pull-ups and stuff. And then Alan, I met him at the Texas Bitcoin conference in like 2018. He was like the guy in the Bitcoin suit and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, you? Wow. Like, again, all these people that are like OGs. And
we got to find
I
a
kind of
picture.
feel like
the community needs to see that.
yes, definitely. I kind of feel like the OGs are the ones who are going to get things forward, because all the new entrants, because again, the cypherpunk people, I as I mentioned earlier today, I think that there's been a constantly increasing number of cypherpunks in the space, but as a percentage of what you call crypto, it's dramatically dropped down. So people see the sailors and the pump funds and the hyperliquids all up there, and they're just like, oh, money, easy money, gamble stuff. And so a lot of the new people in crypto come in and then they crash out and they leave. And so there's like that cycle. And then the people who've been in there long enough to like filter down into the good stuff. Like there are some new people in the privacy world, but it's a lot of like OGs. And Matt Carano, I don't know if you know who that guy is. He's
I've heard the name.
yeah, seen him on space. I've had him on my show before. I've actually known him for like 13 years. He had a cafe in New Hampshire that there's a picture on X, you can look it up, from 2013, where I bought from his cafe using Bitcoin. It's like, again, back in the day. But he said something about, because I moved to New Hampshire as part of this thing called the Free State Project, and he was like, we should do something like that for crypto, where like we get all the cypherpunks together on an initiative. And I'm like, absolutely, but I gotta think about how that would look, or what are the goals and what are the things, and just add something. But I think a cypherpunk alliance is kind of due, right? Because as I mentioned, all these cypherpunks, or like all these OGs, they're all out there, but it's just, there's a bunch in Quai, and then there's a bunch in Dash, there's a bunch of Zcash, there's a bunch of Monero people, obviously, and then there's some Bitcoiners still that's sort of rattling a little bit. There's a lot of Bitcoin cashers that are big into that. Litecoiners too. There's Xano and Firo people, and those are just off the top of my head, like a lot of the, and obviously Thorchain, right? The Thorchads, the Mayans, all them, they're all like our people, and they're all kind of doing their own thing a little bit. And I'd like to get us all together into one big thing and figure out how that makes sense, and not just, oh, let's all do spaces together and then go back to our own stuff. But that's, TBD, right?
Conference, like a cypherpunk conference, I think would be huge. One of the things that I saw like real quickly, and still struggle with a little bit today, even if you just scratch below the surface, like there are people, they may not be OGs, but they've been in the space for a really long time. And there seems to be like, let me know if you see the same, but there seems to be two like almost completely separate ecosystems in crypto. One, is proof of stake, not saying that they're proof of stake maxis, but that is their ecosystem. And the other one is the proof of work. And it's almost like, I don't want to divide it like programmable, not programmable, or like proof of stake versus proof of work, but there's a clear like divide between these two communities. And I think there's alignment there, right? So like Quai Network, we've gone to a bunch of places like the Liberty Forum, Porkfest in New Hampshire, a lot of the Web5 Bitcoin focused spaces here in Austin, Texas. And then we also go to what I would call less cypherpunk, more solarpunk places, where you have a lot of those, the Taoists and the people who believe in a programmable economy with money being on the blockchain. But they definitely seem to like be split and not really communicating very well. And I think something like a cypherpunk conference would pull some superpowers from both sides together. So I love that idea.
Well, as far as a conference is concerned, There is one. It's September 4th and 5th in Amsterdam called Common Sense, and
That's right.
it is we're Dash is partnering with Crypto Canal, the group that runs that, to do DashCon September 3rd, the day before at the same venue. So it's going to be DashCon going right into Common Sense. Common Sense used to be called ETHDAM after the Ethereum Builder Conference, but then they got too like cypherpunk, and they're just like, you know what, we're going to double, triple down on privacy and sovereignty and stuff. And I'm sure Common Sense is an allusion to like the Thomas Paine Common Sense, but it's Common Sense with a 3, like a Web3 Common Sense.
Yeah.
And so, oh no, she doesn't want to be caught now. I just disrupted.
Your cat got in.
Oh, here you go. Here's one of them. Here's Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. She
What's
doesn't
up,
like
Charlotte?
to be caught though. But yes, she eats the expensive cat food. Thankfully, when I spend Dash on it, I could save 2.5%. So
There you go.
it's keeping my kitty fed. At least one of them.
There you
Here,
go.
can go now. Yeah, so that conference, I've been trying to get Alan looped in with them to do like a sponsorship and stuff.
We're definitely
that's
looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's something I'd love to go to. I actually have relatives out there in the Amsterdam area, so I didn't get to connect when I was stationed in Germany. So I got a secret agenda on why we should go.
Yeah, I mean, you've been to Amsterdam, right?
No, I haven't. Not at all. I was stationed in Germany the entire time I was in the military. Did 2 deployments to Afghanistan. I got to see France, Paris, and a lot of
Nice.
Eastern Europe, but I didn't make it to
Oh, cool.
Amsterdam. Unfortunately.
So you made it to most of the cool part of Europe, right?
Yeah,
It's
the adult theme park part of Europe.
Yeah, I mean, because I used to live in France a long time ago, and I used to did my graduate studies in the UK, and obviously been to Germany, and those 3 are like the big ones in Europe, but they're also like the decay centers, and it's like Central Europe, like the former Soviet Union kind of countries, like the Balkans, like former Yugoslavia, and then like Estonia, Latvia, and the Nordics, and the Netherlands. Those are all like the good, in my opinion. Europe's all cool. I love Spain too. Spain's great too. But as far as like it's nice, it's like cheap, it's like low, well, not the Nordics and Netherlands, but everything else cheap.
Right.
Low crime, safe, beautiful, fine, like that part.
Right.
But the Netherlands is it's great. I mean, it's first of all, it's one of the only places in the world where I think people, at least in Amsterdam, people speak English better than the Americans. Like they actually are like,
That makes
you don't have to ever struggle or be like, hey, sorry. Like, so it's easy, it's accessible for people to visit. But it's also just like clean and nice and high quality of life and safe. And the Dutch are really nice people who are also super blunt and direct. So that's kind of refreshing in a weird way. And obviously I have some really great friends over there, the Crypto Canal group. So every year I'm going to be there. I'm obviously going to be at Common Sense and DashCon. So for anyone who wants to go, you should go. That's just my big appeal there.
Well, I think wasn't Solana also doing something adjacent to that as well?
Yeah, what was it called again?
I
don't-
forget. I just like I want to unite the proof of work cypherpunks with the proof of stake cypherpunks. So bad.
Yeah, there's a thing called so this is both those conferences I mentioned, right, are part of Cypherpunk Week. Let me just actually get into the shill. Might as well actually.
Let's chill it.
Yeah, chill, right?
I'm trying to go coordination.
So Cypherpunk Week is that August 31st to September 6th in Amsterdam. It'll be there every year, I mean. And so there's Common Sense, DashCon, and Solana Startup Village are the big ones there, right? And so anyone else can do kind of an event there. So next year, I think we'll have a lot more time to like plan this kind of stuff. Let me just throw up the some of these events here. So the Super Team Netherlands build something on Solana if you want to be into that. Then there's September 3rd is DashCon, which I like the graphic for this. It looks pretty cool. Dashcon.com. and then Common Sense, which is again formerly ETHDAM. It's still ETHDAM has always been my favorite crypto conference, and so yeah, it's gonna be cool, and so yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Maybe you should like we were gonna talk about the open
We can
USD stuff,
talk
but maybe we
about
just
it.
save that for a different time.
Whatever you want to do. I got not much else planned for the day except preparing for
Hmm.
America's 250th
America.
tomorrow. Yeah. No, I just I want everybody to know like Quiet Network is seriously considering attending at the very least. Um, Christopher, Veronica, and I are bugging the founders. Like we definitely want to go. So we got some Koi Nation members out there in the Netherlands and across Europe who are building some really cool stuff. So shout out
Yeah.
Ebo and all those friends. Really looking forward to going out there. Hopefully we'll get to meet in person real soon.
Yeah. Well, that'll be cool. Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, I think that rather than keep everyone late on this,
And really
on
looking forward.
the eve of MiCA Day, I think
America.
that maybe we should MiCA. We should probably wrap it up. Um, I would assume it's shill o'clock, but I assume you probably wanted to shill um, Quiet Network, right? Or you could chill other stuff too if that's what you're into right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I think most of the audience here is, in it for like the freedom tech, the financial sovereignty, and the ability to exit corrupted money systems. That's what brought me into DAOs and the Ethereum ecosystem in the first place, and what ultimately led me into Quad Network. So, yeah, I just encourage everybody to take a serious look at it. They've probably been in this space long enough to hear the story a million times already from a bunch of other projects. But if you want to see why we're different and why it took so long to get here, check out our light paper over at
Mm-hmm.
qu.ai/light paper, LITE. As Dr. K said, almost a decade of work went into this project. I don't know of very many other projects that took that long to come up with their design. And so just highly encourage everybody to take a serious look. We're fans of PVE crypto projects coming together. And so appreciate Joel, the time, and all our furry friends for
Yep.
keeping us set.
This is the second one that harassed me. I told you, like they come in constantly. But yeah,
I get, I
go to.
get, I get two French bulldogs. They don't beg at the door, but if I let them in, they'll just snore nonstop. So
It's funny.
yeah,
Good stuff. Yeah, well, so I showed the website. It's a really cool looking website, and I'm glad I showed it on this computer because it crashed my other my laptop because it's too much graphical stuff going on. But yeah, so check out Kwai, come to DashCon, come to Common Sense, and we're gonna have a good time. And thanks everybody for watching, and have a fantastic MiCA Day. And if I'm going to make a post tomorrow about MiCA Day that ties it into the cypherpunk revolution. So even if you're one of them Euro poors, you should be celebrating July 4th.
you missed Dr. K's rant today. You showed like shortly after it on the space. We're gonna get it recorded and make a video of it, but you'd love it, Joel. He went ham, like harkening back to the original ideals of this nation and why adopting crypto, especially now in this time, is carrying the torch that the forefathers set out for us in terms of liberty and freedom and all that jazz. So
Yes,
uh,
I'll be sure to
we're
listen to that. Not tomorrow because I want to write my own stuff with my own thoughts and not just
yes,
transcribe Dr. K's thoughts. I don't want
yeah.
to, I want to make sure mine are original and untainted. But yeah, so I'll definitely do that, and everyone around the world celebrate July 4th not because of what America is, but because of what America started and what we are continuing in a much better and more global, universal way in the cypherpunk revolution. So have a fantastic weekend, guys. Godspeed, and start using crypto today. Do it.
Do it.
Bye-bye.
Adam, we're here because we love you. And we're all tired of watching you get abused.
Abused? By who?
Oh, hi, I'm Visa. I charge you 29% interest, 3% foreign fees, and make you wait 3 days to see if your payment went through.
But I thought you were my friend.
No, Dash is your friend. Instant, private, under a penny, and with Dash Spend, you walk into over 100,000 stores and pay like a boss.
All ready? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. Feel alive, guys. This is awesome. Tastes like freedom. And I save 5% by using the app.
That's the Dash High, baby.
Let's go.
Download the mobile wallet, one tap, boom, financial sovereignty.